everyone, and welcome. Today, we are exploring the fascinating intersection of energy healing, science, and self care. How, once again, ancient practices are being validated by modern research, and how they can support emotional, physical, and spiritual well being. Let's begin with a foundational truth. Everything in the universe is made of energy, and that energy is in constant motion. At the most basic level, all matter is composed of atoms. These atoms are not static. Their subatomic particles, protons, neutrons, and electrons, are in perpetual motion. This motion generates vibrational energy. Even objects that appear solid and still at the quantum level are still vibrating energy. In physics, this is known as the principle of resonance. Every object has its own natural frequency at which it vibrates. When two systems vibrate at the same frequency, they can influence each other, a phenomenon called sympathetic resonance. This is the same principle that allows a tuning fork to cause another tuning fork nearby to vibrate without any direct contact. The human body is no exception. Our cells, tissues, and organs each have their own vibrational signatures. The heart, for example, produces an electromagnetic field that can be measured several feet away from the body. The brain emits electrical activity that we can track with EEGs. Even our bones and connective tissue respond to mechanical vibrations, which is why therapies like ultrasound and vibration therapy are used in physical medicine. Moreover, the body's biofield, a term used to describe the complex electromagnetic and subtle energy fields that surround and permeate the body, is now being studied in clinical settings. This biofield is thought to regulate physiological processes that may be influenced by external energy sources, including sound, light, scent, and touch. When we talk about energy healing, we're not invoking mysticism, even though I like to refer to it as spicy psychology. We're truly engaging with the body's natural vibrational systems. Practices like sound therapy, crystal resonance, plant based aromatics, and biofield healing work by interacting with these energetic patterns, helping to restore coherence where there is dissonance. In essence, energy healing is about tuning the body the same way you would tune an instrument that is out of tune. It's bringing it back into harmonic resonance with itself and with the environment. Sound healing is one of the most researched and accessible forms of vibrational therapy. It works by using specific frequencies produced by instruments, voice, nature, including animals, to influence the body's energetic and physiological symptoms. From a scientific standpoint, sound is a mechanical wave that travels through matter, creating pressure fluctuations that our bodies can feel and respond to. Because the body is composed of over 70% water, and water is an excellent conductor of vibration, sound has a profound effect on our tissues, nervous system, and energy field. In energy medicine, the body's seven major chakras, subtle energy centers aligned along the spine, are each associated with a specific frequency and musical note. These tones are used in sound healing to restore balance and resonance in the corresponding physical and emotional systems. So when we look at the root chakra, we are focusing around 396 hertz. The musical note is C, and this focuses on grounding, safety, and survival instincts. The sacral chakra is at 417 hertz and is the note D, and stimulates creativity, sexuality, and flow. The solar plexus is roughly at 528 hertz and is the note E, and that is associated with themes of confidence and willpower. The heart chakra is at 639 hertz and is the musical note F, and it's associated with love, compassion, and connection. The throat chakra at 741 hertz is G, and that is expression, truth, and clarity. The third eye, which is right about in the center of our forehead, is at 852 hertz and is the musical note A and focuses on intention, insight, and vision. And finally, the crown chakra at the top of our head is 963 hertz, with the musical note being B and focuses on themes of unity, consciousness, and spirit. These frequencies are often used in tuning forks, singing bowls, and vocal toning. For example, chanting the syllable Om, a sacred sound in many traditions, produces a frequency around 432 hertz, which is believed to harmonize the entire body and connect us to the natural resonance of the earth. In traditional Chinese medicine and feng shui, elemental chimes are tuned to the five elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. The wood element focuses on the tone E, and it impacts the organs of the liver and gallbladder, and is said to work on emotions of anger and growth, and is also tied to the season spring. Fire, which is C, is the heart and small intestine, and focuses on the emotions of joy and expansion, and tied to the season of summer. Earth is D, and that is with the spleen and stomach, and focuses on worry and nourishment, and is around the season of late summer. Metal is G, and that is the lungs and the large intestine, and it's about grief and letting go, and is in the season autumn. Water is A, and that is kidneys and bladder, and that focuses around fear and stillness, and is in the season of winter. These tones are used in acupuncture, qigong, and sound healing to clear stagnation in the meridians, support seasonal transitions, harmonize emotional imbalances, and restore elemental balance in home or body. For example, playing the tone D during late summer supports digestion and emotional grounding, while A tones in winter help calm fear and strengthen the kidneys. In energetic rituals, these chimes can be used to call in elemental support, reset the energy of a space, or align the body with seasonal rhythms, especially powerful when paired with breathwork, intention, or movement. But beyond these traditions lies another ancient sonic system, one that once embedded in sacred chant and later obscured by history. The solfeggio frequencies, encoded in early Gregorian hymns, carry vibrational codes for transformation, healing, and spiritual awakening. These tones were believed to align the body with divine order. Rediscovered in the 20th century, they now reemerge as powerful tools in vibrational medicine, echoing the same truth found in Eastern and indigenous sound traditions, that frequency is medicine and sound is memory. The solfeggio frequencies began as a series of six core tones, each associated with specific energetic and healing properties, again, very similar to the chakra and the Chinese elemental tones. 396 under the solfeggio frequencies, is Ut, and this liberates guilt and fear. And from here, you're going to notice some similarities to things that many of you probably learned in your elementary music classes. 417 hertz, Re, facilitates change and renewal. 528 hertz, Mi, is DNA repair, transformation, and love. 639 hertz, Fa, harmonizes relationships. 741, Sol, awakens intuition, clears toxins. And lastly, of the core tones, 852 hertz, La, returns to spiritual order. These tones were derived from a numerological, I got a little tongue tied there, pattern found in the Book of Numbers, and again were reintroduced really truly in the 1970s. Those Gregorian chants of the early Roman Catholic Church, which are monophonic meditative melodies sung in Latin, originally used this scale based on those six solfeggio tones. The syllables ut, re, mi, fa, sol, la were assigned and used to teach pitch and vocal intonation. These tones were believed to induce altered states of consciousness and spiritual elevation. However, by the 16th century, the church adopted the 12-tone equal temperament scale, which became the Western music standard. This shift phased out the original solfeggio scale, possibly because of its powerful psychospiritual effects. Some researchers suggest that this was a deliberate act to suppress tools that could empower individual spiritual connection outside the church's control. While there is no definitive proof of intentional suppression, the disappearance of these tones from music and their rediscovery centuries later has fueled theories of concealment. Whether hidden or simply lost to evolving musical theory, their resurgence today reflects a renewed interest in sacred sound and vibrational healing. As the tones reemerged, they expanded from the original 6 to a 9 or 10 frequency chart. The additional tones, 174, 285, 963, and the 10th is sometimes added as 432 Hz, were introduced later by sound healers and researchers to complete the energetic spectrum, aligning with chakras, biofield therapies, and vibrational medicine. So the final full solfeggio frequency chart starts at 174 Hz, and that is a foundation of pain relief and focuses on physical healing, grounding, and reducing pain. 285 Hz is now that lower do, which so many of us are familiar with, and it has a healing theme of cellular repair with common associations of tissue regeneration and energetic restoration. Moving there, we get into those original six: ut, re, mi, fa, sol or so, la, and then finally adding 963 Hz as si. As I mentioned, the 432 Hz focuses on the frequency of nature. So let's take a moment and listen to some of these tones. And we're going to take about a minute here and listen to sounds that are tied to chakra tones. So it incorporates most of the tones that we've talked about in all three of these different signatures. Root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown. So we can't talk about frequencies of sound without also talking about the color of noise. And no, I'm not talking about colors that are assigned to the frequencies, such as within the chakra colors, where each of the different frequencies has a color that relates to the different alignments within the spine that actually are the colors of the rainbow: red at root, moving all the way up to purple or violet at the crown. This truly is referring to the color of noise, like white, pink, brown, and so on, which are categorized by how sound energy is distributed across the frequencies. Each has distinct effects on the nervous system and is used in sound therapies, sleep support, focus, and energetic regulation. So each color of noise is defined by its power spectral density, how much energy it contains at different frequencies. These sounds are often used in energy healing, meditation, and therapeutic environments to entrain brainwaves, mask distraction, or regulate the nervous system. One of the most common ones that most people are familiar with is white noise, and this has equal energy across all frequencies. And the sound characteristic of this is really kind of like a hissing static noise. And for those of you who are older and remember when cable actually went off the air or you lost signal, and instead of it just kind of putting a thing across your screen that says no connection to the internet, it actually had a static on it and it would produce like a white screen or something where you'd hear that hissy, heavy static noise. Some also attribute it to like the noise of a really noisy fan. The common uses of white noise are for sleep, masking noise, and that's why you often see white noise machines outside of offices where people are doing confidential work, like a therapist. It's also known for tinnitus relief. And the effect within white noise is that it neutralizes overstimulation and creates a blank energetic canvas. One of the other noises is pink noise. So this has more energy and lower frequencies, and it's softer, like steady rain or rustling leaves. It is also helpful for sleep, relaxation, and meditation, and it's known to balance energy and support emotional release. Brown or red noise is even more lower frequency emphasis. And so this has a deep rumbling sound to it, like thunder or waterfall. And its focus is on being able to help you focus, grounding, and it's really good for ADHD support. It grounds excess energy and calms the root chakra. Green energy is centered right around about that 500 hertz, so it's about mid range. And this has a real oceanic, neutral, or heart centered sound to it. It's very calming, it's very emotionally regulated, and it harmonizes heart energy and supports coherence. Green energy, even though it's not mentioned right now, I actually use this for sleep. Some people find it very calming and very helpful for sleep because of that emotional regulation state. So if you find yourself not being able to sleep because you can't turn your mind off, green energy might be something that would be very helpful for you. Blue energy has more energy in higher frequencies, and it's a very sharp hissing sound. And this is often used in audio testing. So if you remember back in school, or maybe you've had hearing tests done recently and you have those very high pitched noises being bounced back and forth between your ears to determine whether or not you have any hearing loss, that is blue noise. But it is also very good for triggering alertness. It stimulates mental clarity and activates the upper chakras. Violet is the strongest in very high frequencies. So this has a very subtle and it's very barely audible. And this is also used in tinnitus therapy and high frequency healing. And it clears energetic clutter and supports spiritual attunement. Gray is the last one that I'll talk about today, and this is tailored to human hearing sensitivity, and it's balanced across perceived loudness. So you also hear gray noise in hearing test and sound masking, and it's very smooth around energetic edges, and it supports sensory integration. So, how these work in practice is that white noises, like I already mentioned, often used to mask external distractions, ideal for sleep or meditation in noisy environments. Or again, like we have our little white noise machines outside the doors of our therapy offices to kind of mask the sounds going on so the noise is not traveling through the doors. Pink and brown noise are, since they're more natural and soothing, mimicking rain, wind, and thunder, help drop the body into alpha or theta brainwave states. Green noise centered around the heart chakra is especially useful for that emotional regulation, grief work, or calming the vagus nerve. And so, again, like I mentioned, someone like me who has trouble sleeping because I can't turn my mind off, I'm thinking about a million different things. not the ADHD kind of thinking, but just not being able to turn off sometimes and regulate myself before I go to bed, green noise actually helps me sleep. And then lastly, blue and violet noise are more stimulating and they're used less frequently in healing, but may support mental clarity or energetic clearing. So if you got a kid that's struggling to get their homework done, this may be perfect to be able to put on in the background for them because it's going to help them focus and pay attention to their homework. Let's move forward now with understanding rhythmic and textural instruments and how they are used in sound healing. So, rhythm and texture engage the primal nervous system and help regulate the vagus nerve. And we'll begin with drumming. Repetitive drumming induces theta brainwave states, supporting meditation, trauma release, and emotional regulation. So, I'm going to do just kind of a short little exercise with you right now on a drum beat that mimics the heartbeat, which is really good for breath work and those deeper levels of meditation and helping invoking intention. So, different ways in the strength in which you hit the drum or softer ones. You can also move your mallet or hand in different areas, and you hear kind of as you move it across the drum, it has a slightly different tone. If you hit it in the middle versus if you hit it more on the edge. You can also kind of hit it along the side of the drum, and you can even sweep your mallet kind of across it or sweep your hand across it, which kind of gives, again, a different tone that you can use within that textural beat. Another tool that I really like to use, and I have a lot of fun with it, and the people I've used it with have fun with it. And I was actually first introduced to these as a toy when I was a child, but these are African wooden frogs. And as you run the mallet across them, their croaking tones mimics that nature's voice of a frog, grounding and activating the root and sacral chakras. The different sized frogs have different tones, and I have three, and each of them are a different size. So I'm going to start off with the little one and just allow you to kind of hear what they sound like. Moving now to the middle. And lastly, the larger one, which to me sounds like a bullfrog. And much louder, as you can tell. Now, ocean drums are something else that I really love to use. One, because I like the use of symbolism of water in a lot of the work that I do. I'm very tied to the water, and it may be partially because I am a Cancer and a water sign, but also I just love the water. But ocean drums mimic the sound waves, and these help to soothe the nervous system and support emotional release. And they are very simple. They are just what you would see kind of as a regular drum, and they are filled with seeds or very small pellets. And depending again on the size of the drum, it may have a large, long wave, or a smaller one does one that sounds like the waves are moving very quickly and fast up and down off the coastline. And unfortunately, I do not have these with me to be able to share with you because they are in my work office because I use them pretty frequently in my practice daily. The next one is the ocarina, and this one has ties to definitely my Celtic roots. My grandfather had one of these, and I was never allowed to play with it because it was his. But he always called it the sweet potato because that's really what it looks like. And originally, these were often carved out of potatoes or sweet potatoes, but over time they became clay wind instruments. And this is very breath based sound healing that supports grief work and throat chakra healing. And if you've ever heard someone play an ocarina, it's just a very haunting kind of flute sound, but it's much deeper than that because, again, it is this kind of clay instrument and it's shaped like a root or a sweet potato. Tuning forks, which we've already mentioned, emit pure frequencies used to stimulate acupressure points or balance chakras. Some people might use a tuning fork at a certain frequency to hit a certain chakra or a certain part of the body that they want to focus on, or they may use the entire set and help to align the chakras totally. Gourds and seed rattles are also very important in the rhythmic and texture of sound healing. Many people are familiar with a rain stick, and traditionally we often see these. It's just kind of like a hollowed out reed of some sort. Here in the desert southwest, it's often part like old cactuses that have died and have been used to kind of turn into a rain stick. But then filled with a bunch of seeds or some other kind of element to create that sound as you're moving it up and down that hollow gourd or that hollow cactus. It, continues to just mimic the sound of the rain. And gourds and seed rattles are used to sweep and clear the energy field, especially around the joints and chakras, or again, mimic a sound very similar to like what the ocean drums do. Seeds and nuts themselves symbolize fertility and rootedness, and so they're used in a lot of ritual sound healing, whether it's through the seed rattles or used with inside the gourds, or even kind of seed rattles are exactly what they sound like. It's just a bunch of seeds tied together so that as they are shaken, they bounce off one another. And they're used in rituals to ground intentions and activate subtle energy. But beyond instruments and tones, natural sounds also play a vital role in energetic healing. And that is one of the reasons why these little African wood frogs are so cool to use. Because not only is it giving that tonal sound because they are made out of wood, but it's mimicking nature. The sound of rain, like we see in rain sticks or ocean drums, wind, bird song, or flowing water, can entrain the brain to more relaxed states, such as alpha or theta waves, which are associated with meditation, creativity, and healing. So, ocean waves mimic the rhythm of the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting calm and restoration. When I use the ocean drums or even have a meditation where ocean waves are playing in the background, it's very easy to then focus your breath on the sound of the waves coming in and then pushing back out. And it's a great, again, rhythm, like I said already, of that parasympathetic nervous system. Breathing in, breathing out, which helps to relax and root the body. Birdsong has also been shown to reduce stress and improve mood. And this is often tied to the idea that it is just something naturally found in nature, and our bodies just may be anciently tied to these. These are something that is deep within our bones and our ancestral memory. Desert winds here in the desert southwest and monsoon rains carry a very primal resonance that can ground and reset the body's natural rhythms. These sounds are not just soothing, they are vibrational signatures of the Earth's own energy field. When we immerse ourselves in them, we're not just relaxing, we're recalibrating. Animals, too, are often powerful sources of healing vibration. One of the most remarkable examples is the sound of a cat purring. And I'm not just saying that because I've got my little cats running around here. But cats purr at frequencies between 25 and 150 hertz, a range that overlaps with frequencies known to promote bone density, reduce inflammation, and accelerate tissue healing. Studies have shown that exposure to these frequencies can stimulate the production of growth factors and reduce pain perception. So your cat has more of a purpose than just being cute. When a cat lies on your chest and purrs, it's not just comforting, it's therapeutic. The vibration travels through your body, resonating with your bones, muscles, and nervous system. It's a form of passive sound therapy delivered through love and presence. Wolf howls are another powerful sound. Though dissonant and often perceived as eerie to some, their howls actually create a vibrational field that resonates with the emotional body. The howls Long, sustained tones can mirror grief, longing, or release, making them powerful for emotional catharsis and energetic clearing and cleansing. In many indigenous traditions, the wolf voice is a call to awaken intuition and reconnect with ancestral memory. Whale songs is also something that people are very drawn to, especially those of humpback whales. And whale song is very complex. It's haunting and it's deeply resonant. These infrasonic, low frequency vocalizations can travel hundreds of miles underwater and have been shown to induce meditative states in humans. Their dissonance, shifting tones, and unpredictable intervals can bypass the analytical mind and speak directly to your subconscious, evoking awe, surrender, and emotional release. Other animals, like the low rumble of a horse's nicker, that rhythmic breathing of your sleeping dog, the coo of a dove, can also entrain the human nervous system into states of safety and connection. These sounds are a part of what polyvagal theory calls social engagement cues, helping to regulate the vagus nerve and restore balance to the autonomic nervous system. In energetic terms, animals are natural harmonizers. They don't just emit sound, they emit coherence. When we share space with them, especially in ritual or rest, we attune to that coherence. And these sounds are not always pretty, but they are profoundly healing. Dissonance, when held in safe energetic container, can help us process what harmony alone cannot. It reminds us that healing is not always about smoothing over, it's about moving through. So, overall, scientific evidence and studies have shown that sound healing can lower cortisol and your blood pressure, improve heart rate variability, reduce symptoms of anxiety, depression, and PTSD, and enhance immune function and sleep quality. One study in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience found that a 528 hertz music reduced stress, increased oxytocin levels, the hormone associated with bonding and healing. All right, now that I've talked you to death about sound healing, which if you couldn't tell, I truly love, and I'm working through the second phase of a sound healer certification. And I'm really excited to be able to do that so I can maybe get my big old crystal bowls and start to implement that into my practice. But understanding now into crystal work. And crystals aren't just beautiful. They're not something that is meant just simply for decoration or use in jewelry. Or, yes, if you use it kind of within ritual practice where you have them to like hang over your door for protection work, they really are vibrational tools. And that is honestly why they are used in certain other more pagan practices or witchy practices. Each crystal has a unique molecular structure, which determines its internal lattice and the way it vibrates. This vibrational frequency is stable and measurable, making crystals, powerful allies in energy healing. That was a bit of a tongue twister there. In physics and mineralogy, crystals are defined by their repeating atomic patterns, just like you would see in every other element that exists. This order allows them to emit consistent frequencies, which is why quartz is used in watches and electronics. It oscillates with precision. In energy work, this same property allows crystals to interact with the body's biofield, that subtle electromagnetic field that surrounds and permeates us. When placed near or on the body, crystals can support emotional regulation and trauma recovery, enhance meditation, focus, and spiritual alignment, and aid in energetic clearing, grounding, and protection. These effects are not just symbolic, they again are vibrational. The body, composed largely of water and minerals, responds to external frequencies through resonance. When a crystal's frequency matches or complements a part of the body's energetic system, it can help restore the coherence where there is dissonance, as I mentioned earlier. So, for example, Amethyst emits a very calming frequency that supports the nervous system and third eye chakra, often used for sleep, intuition, and emotional clarity. Rose quartz resonates with the heart chakra, promoting compassion, forgiveness, and emotional healing. Black tourmaline has a dense, grounding vibration that helps absorb and transmute negative energy, often used for protection and root chakra work. Clear quartz, known as the master healer, amplifies the energy of other stones and intention and is used to clarify thought and enhance spiritual connection. Crystals are also used in grids, elixirs, and ritual layouts to direct energy flow. Their shapes, points, spheres, clusters affect how energy is emitted or absorbed. A pointed crystal directs energy outward or inward, while a cluster radiates energy in all directions. Symbolically, crystal carry ancestral memory. Many have formed over thousands or millions of years, holding the geological and energetic imprint of the earth. When we work with them, we're not just accessing their vibration, we're engaging with deep time, elemental wisdom, and the mineral consciousness of the planet. While clinical research is still emerging, many therapists, energy workers, and trauma informed practitioners use crystals as a part of integrative healing protocols. Studies in vibrational medicine and biofield science are beginning to explore how mineral frequencies affect cellular behavior, mood regulation, and subtle energy alignment. In rituals, crystals are not just chosen for their properties, but for their relationship to season, intention, and environment. In the Southwest, where I live, stones like turquoise, jasper, and desert rose carry the resonance of the land, sunlight, stillness, and sacred heat. When used with intention, they become more than tools, they become collaborators in our natural healing. Now, plants, energy, and aromatherapy. Now, again, all things have energy, right? All things have a vibrational pattern. Plants are living, breathing things. And so it may be a little easier for some people to accept this than it does for crystals because most people look at crystals and they're like, oh, it's just a colorful rock. But we're really kind of talking about how that energy and aromatherapy has that vibrational intelligence into, again, energetic work. So plants are not passive life forms. They are dynamic, they are responsive, and they're vibrationally intelligent. If you've ever tried to grow a plant, you know they also can be very temperamental. And so that really does show that they are not just passively sitting there in the dirt and growing. From their root systems to their aromatic compounds, plants communicate, adapt, and emit energy. In energy healing, we work with plants not only for their biochemical properties, but for their subtle frequencies, their ability to shift mood, regulate the nervous system, and realign the body's energetic field. Essential oils are the most concentrated expression of a plant's vibrational essence. These volatile aromatic compounds are extracted from flowers, leaves, root, bark, and resins. Each oil carries the energetic imprint of the plant's life force, its environment, growth cycle, and elemental nature. From a scientific perspective, essential oils influence the body through both biochemical and bioenergetic pathways. Olfactory activation is the first one that we'll look at. When inhaled, aromatic molecules bind to the receptors in your nasal cavity, sending signals directly to the limbic system, the brain's emotional and memory center. This is why scent can instantly shift mood, evoke memories, or trigger emotional release. This is also why many of us have a favorite scent, and we can explain why we have that favorite scent. Not just because it smells good, but we usually have some sort of memory tied to that scent. Now let's move into neurochemical modulation. Many essential oils have been shown to affect neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and GABA. For example, lavender increases parasympathetic activity and reduces cortisol, while bergamot has been shown to elevate mood and reduce anxiety. Each essential oil also has a measurable frequency, often recorded in megahertz. So, this is really kind of focusing on that cellular and energetic resonance. Rose oil, for instance, has one of the highest frequencies, around 320 megahertz, associated with heart centered healing and spiritual elevation, which is really interesting considering that roses are symbolic for love. Oils with lower frequencies, like myrrh or vetiver, are grounding and stabilizing, supporting the root chakra and the physical body. And moving now into electromagnetic interaction. Emerging research in biofield science suggests that essential oils may influence the body's electromagnetic field, helping to restore coherence and reduce energetic noise caused by stress, trauma, or environmental disruption. I believe it's also really important within this section that we also move past just why we use plants, not only for their essential oils and how that ties to energetic uses, but understanding that plants are central to a lot of ritual practice. And there's this really fascinating phenomenon that has come out recently about plants singing. And it's so cool if you've ever seen any videos about this. But plants have been central to ritual, ceremony, and healing across every culture and continent. Their use is not just symbolic, it is again vibrational, relational, and deeply embodied. And here's why. Plants are often seen as living beings with spirit across multiple cultures. In indigenous traditions, plants are not resources, they are relatives. Each plant carries a unique spirit, personality, and medicine. Rituals involving plants are acts of relationship, reciprocity, and communication. In some cultures, such as the Celtic cultures, plants were also believed to be actual spirits, and there are many traditions around honoring different plants throughout the years. When we break it down, we often see that flowers are offered for beauty, devotion, and heart opening. Leaves and herbs are burned or brewed to cleanse, protect, or awaken, and roots are used for grounding, ancestral connection, and deep healing. Plants are also carriers of memory and place. They encode the history of the land, its seasons, soil, and cycles. When used in rituals, they reconnect us to plant based wisdom. For example, here in the Southwest, creosote carries the scent of monsoon renewal and desert resilience. Plants are also sensory portals. Through scent, texture, taste, and color, plants activate all your senses, which are gateways to altered states of consciousness. Rituals that involve plants engage the limbic system, helping to regulate emotion, memory, and nervous system tone. And although we've already spoken to this along the lines of essential oils derived from plants, we also need to see plants themselves as the vibrational allies because they emit subtle electromagnetic fields just as we do as humans ourselves. And the interesting fact is that plants also produce chemical signals, and this is often what attracts bees to certain plants. It's not just about the smell to it, but some plants will emit a signal to get the bees to come and pollinate them. They also talk to each other, and this is how they cross pollinate themselves. In ritual, plants are used to clear energy, such as the use through sage, palo santo, and rosemary. They open the heart with plants such as rose, cacao, and hawthorn. They protect the field or the environment like cedar, mugwort, rue, and they call in specific energy, lavender for peace, basil for abundance. Now, as I mentioned just a bit ago, the singing of plants. This is a really cool phenomenon, and it's bioelectrical music and plant consciousness. And so, this idea that plants sing is more than just poetic, it's now being explored through bioelectrical music technology. Devices like Music of the Plant system or an MIDI biofeedback sensors translate those plants' electrical impulses into audible sound. So, how it works is that electrodes are placed on the plant's leaf and root. These detect changes in the electrical conductivity, how the plant responds to light, touch, sound, or presence, which is why one of those old wives' tales talk about if you talk to your plants, they grow a lot better, right? Because they respond to sound and presence. They respond to our energy given to them. But again, getting back to plant syncing, that data then is converted into MIDI signals, MIDI signals, which are mapped to musical notes and played through a synthesizer. The result, plants create melodic, responsive music, and it is sensational to listen to. So some call this music and describe it as being haunting or harmonic. But it truly is amazing to listen to it. And I really encourage you guys, if you haven't ever had the opportunity to do this, one of the ones that I follow that I really like to really listen to is someone through Instagram. His name is Modern Biology 101. And he has different videos where he actually is connecting what is called the pocket cyan, and he has links to it to where you can buy it, and he's linking it to mushrooms a lot of the time and playing their music, and it's amazing. I'm not gonna lie, it's absolutely amazing to listen to that, and it's so wonderful because again, part of my Celtic tradition is a creature known as a dryad, and they are plant beings that take the form of different trees or different types of plants, and looking at fays and certain fairies that themselves also will turn into flowers and things like that. So hearing this energetic connection and that they can sing, it just is so profound within kind of my cultural beliefs too. So what this reveals is that plants respond to human presence, intention, and emotions. Again, talk to your plants, it'll help them grow. Then there is some science about that too. If you're breathing on them a whole lot, you're giving them the carbon dioxide they need, and they're giving you the oxygen you need. But they change their song when touched, when they're spoken to, or when other plants are nearby, or even when other animals are nearby, and they may seek that animal as being a threat or a friend. Some researchers believe this reflects a form of plant sentience or awareness, not consciousness as we know it, but a relational intelligence. So, some of the implications on this, as far as ritual practices are concerned, is that playing or recording plant music during ceremony creates a co created vibrational field. It invites the plants to be an active participant, not just a passive tool, and it deepens a sense of interbeing, that we are not separate from nature, but a part of a living, singing web. So, you know, plant music can maybe be paired with drumming, elemental chimes, or even crystal grids. You can use different regional plants as both physical allies and musical collaborators within your own sound healing practices, and let that plant song kind of guide the rhythm of your ritual breath or movement. If you want to spend the money to buy one of those things that help you hear their music. So, kind of in culmination about the applications of plants in ritual and self care, is understanding that the energy of plants, whether it's through the plant itself or the essential oil, they clear stagnant or heavy energy. They ground and stabilize. They open the heart and elevate mood. They enhance intuition and spiritual connection, and they support seasonal and elemental alignment. The oils and scents can be diffused, anointed on pulse points or chakras. They can be added to your baths or used in ceremonial sprays and altar work. Their effects are both immediate and cumulative, shifting the energetic field while also supporting long-term nervous system regulation. Remembering too that plants are sensitive to vibration, light, sound, and intention. And studies in plant neurobiology and quantum biology suggests again that plants communicate through this electrical signaling, like we talked about with them singing. Very different chemical messengers and even certain sound frequencies. So when we work with plants in ritual, whether through scent, touch, or presence, we are entering into a co-regulatory relationship. In the context of energy healing, the plant's frequency entrains the human biofield, helping to restore balance and coherence. The ritual act of applying or inhaling the scent or oil becomes a sensory anchor, reinforcing intention and presence. And that seasonal or regional resonance of a plant deepens our connection to our land, our time, and our body. In some, plant based aromatics are more than just pleasant scents, they are vibrational medicines. They speak to the body through chemistry, to the spirit through frequency, and to the psyche through memory and emotions. In energy healing, they offer a bridge between the physical and the subtle, the scientific and the sacred. Now, I mentioned the biofield a lot in talking about the plant energy. And so, biofield therapies really truly are a class of energy healing modalities that work with the body's electromagnetic and subtle energy fields to promote balance, coherence, and healing. These therapies include practices like Reiki, healing touch, therapeutic touch, Qigong, polarity therapy, and other hands on or near body techniques that influence the body's energetic system. The term biofield was introduced by the National Institutes of Health, or NIH, to describe the complex dynamic field of energy and information that surrounds and interpenetrates the human body. This field is thought to regulate physiological processes, much like the nervous system or endocrine systems, but through electromagnetic and quantum level signaling. While the biofield cannot yet be fully measured with conventional instruments, its effects are increasingly being studied through indirect physiological markers and imaging technologies. So here's what we know so far. Through electromagnetic emissions, the heart and brain emit measurable electromagnetic fields. The heart's field is the most powerful, extending several feet from the body and modulating in response to emotional stress. These fields are believed to interact with the environment and with other living beings. Like, have you ever noticed that there are certain people that you are around that even if you're not thinking about it and you're not responding to certain stimuli, your heart races a little bit faster? Or maybe it slows and it calms. And that racing faster could be fear, or it could be maybe attraction to a person. But it's relating again to the environment and with those other living beings, as I mentioned. We also have to look at cellular communication. Cells communicate not only chemically, but also through the bioelectrical signatures or signals and photon emissions, what are known as biophotons. These subtle signals may be influenced by external energy fields, including those generated by practitioners during healing sessions. So when you talk about be careful and be mindful of the energy you bring into a space, that's very true because it could be influencing others or influencing you. Resonance and entrainment are another piece of biofield discussion. So biofield therapies may work by entraining the body system to a more coherent frequency. When a practitioner enters a calm, heart-centered state, their field can influence the recipient's field, promoting relaxation, parasympathetic activation, and energetic reorganization. So I'll throw into this, not that I've actually really truly studied it, it's more anecdotal data, um, because studying myself is a little weird. But I have many times over the years, whether it's, the members and clients that I've worked with or even staff that I've worked with, they talk about how they just relax around me. And they talk about that my energy just is peaceful. And it's really interesting because sometimes you do see it in people when they come in and they're upset and something's going on, again, whether it's a member that I'm working with or it's a staff member that's coming in to talk about something that's bothering them. After a few minutes in my office, you see their entire body relax. And again, whether that's the energetic field that I'm emitting to them and how they're responding to it, or just the fact that I'm sitting there listening, I don't really know, but it's probably more than likely a combination of both. Polyvagal theory and vagus nerve regulation is also part of this research. And so it's understanding that gentle, intentional touch or near body presence can stimulate the vagus nerve, shifting the body from a fight or flight state into a state of safety, connection, and healing. This is especially relevant in trauma informed care. So, biofield therapies are increasingly used in clinical and integrative settings to support pain management because studies show significant reductions in chronic and acute pain, including cancer, fibromyalgia, which is a big thing for me, and post operative patients. It is also shown to support anxiety and depression in that it can help regulate the nervous system, reduce cortisol, and increase heart rate variability, key indicators of emotional resilience. And there's also immune function. Some studies do suggest that improved immune markers and faster recovery times following surgeries or illness. And as we've already talked about, trauma recovery is an important aspect of biofield therapies. That gentle, non invasive energy work can help regulate the body's stress response and support emotional processing without reactivating the trauma or forcing someone to talk through it. These therapies are often used alongside conventional treatments, offering a non pharmacological, low risk complement to medical care. So, beyond the clinical biofield therapies, are deeply intuitive and ritualistic. Practitioners often use intention, breath, visualization, and symbolic gestures to guide energy flow. The hands may hover over or lightly touch the body, scanning for areas of stagnation, depletion, or excess. In ritual or self care settings, biofield work may be combined with crystals placed on chakras or meridians, essential oils to anchor intention and stimulate energetic centers, sound tools like tuning forks or chimes to clear and harmonize the field, or even seasonal or elemental themes aligning the body to natural cycles. The practitioner then becomes a tuning fork, holding a coherent, grounded frequency that invites the recipient system to reorganize itself. It's not about fixing, but about facilitating the body's innate capacity to heal. The biofield is a bridge between the measurable and the mystical. It connects the physical body to the emotional, mental, and spiritual layers of being. When we work with it through touch, presence, or intention, we're not just treating symptoms, we're restoring coherence to the whole system. As research continues to evolve, biofield therapies are gaining recognition not only as complementary practices, but as essential tools for whole person healing, especially in times of stress, disconnection, or transformation. So, energy is not just a concept, it's the foundation of how we experience life. Every thought, emotion, and interaction carries a vibrational signature. Our bodies are not just isolated systems, they are dynamic fields of energy constantly interacting with the environment, other beings, and our own inner states. In fact, emotions and thoughts truly are just chemical impulses as they move through the energy fields within our body, moving from that state of our autonomic nervous system where we trigger that fight or flight that rushes a thought to our brain that says, I don't like this and I'm going to respond to it. And when we look at that as being energy, it's easier to understand how that we can not let it control us and not let it be something that we have to focus on all the time and put so much emphasis on because energy will soon dissipate. So, from a scientific perspective, this is supported by multiple disciplines. Electromagnetic biology shows that the heart and brain emit measurable fields that shift with emotional states. Quantum biology explores how subatomic particles within our cells respond to intention, light, and vibration. And psychoneuroimmunology reveals how emotional energy, such as stress or joy, directly influences immune function, inflammation, and cellular repair. In energy healing, we work with these subtle forces to restore coherence. And coherence is a state in which the body system, nervous, cardiovascular, endocrine, and energetic, are synchronized and harmonious. It's the opposite of fragmentation, stress, or dissonance. As I just alluded to, emotions are energy in motion. They arise from biochemical signals that also carry frequency. For example, anger has a sharp, activating vibration, often linked to the liver and solar plexus. Grief is heavy and contracting, associated with the lungs and heart, where joy expands and elevates, resonating with the heart and the crown. When emotions are suppressed or unprocessed, they can create energetic blockages. Practices like breathwork, sound healing, and biofield therapy help move these energies through the body, allowing for release, integration, and transformation. Clinical studies show that energy based practices can improve heart rate variability, a key marker of emotional resilience, reduce cortisol and inflammatory markers, increase oxytocin and serotonin, enhancing connection and mood, and support trauma recovery by regulating the vagus nerve and restoring a sense of safety. And the spaces we inhabit also carry energy. Architecture, light, sound, and natural elements all influence our biofield. This is why sacred sites, quiet deserts, or vibrant forests feel different to us. They resonate with different frequencies. When we align our rituals with the seasons, the land we are in, and yes, the animal companions in our region or in our homes, we deepen our energetic coherence. This is not just poetic, it's physiological. Studies in environmental psychology show that nature based practices reduce stress, improve cognition, and enhance immune function. Ritual is the intentional shaping of energy. Whether through movement, sound, scent, or silence, ritual creates a container for transformation. It allows us to anchor new frequencies such as peace, clarity, or courage, release old patterns like fear, grief, or stagnation, and reconnect with our body's natural rhythms. People who engage in regular energetic rituals report greater emotional clarity and resilience, reduced anxiety and improved sleep, enhanced intuition and spiritual connection, and a deeper sense of embodiment and belonging. Ultimately, the human biofield is a living interface between the physical and the subtle. It receives, processes, and emits energy constantly. When we learn to work with it through awareness, ritual, and resonance, we become more attuned, more regulated, more empowered. Energy healing is not just about fixing what's broken, it's about remembering what's whole. It's about restoring the natural rhythm of the body, the breath, and the spirit. And in that rhythm, we find healing. Energy healing is not a fringe idea, it's a frontier. It bridges ancient wisdom and modern science, offering a holistic framework for understanding the human body not just as a biological machine, but as a dynamic field of vibration, emotion, and consciousness. So, we've explored today how sound healing entrains the nervous system and brain waves. Studies show again that singing bowl meditations reduce tension, fatigue, and depression, while 528 hertz frequencies increase oxytocin and reduce stress biomarkers. Crystals emit stable frequencies due to their molecular lattice. Quartz is used in electronics for its oscillation and in energy work to amplify intention and restore coherence in the biofield. Essential oils influence both neurochemistry and subtle energy. Inhalation of lavender, for example, has been shown to reduce cortisol and improve sleep, while rose oil, measured at 320 microhertz, supports heart-centered healing, and emotional uplift. Biofield therapies like Reiki and healing touch are now used in hospitals and integrative clinics, and clinical trials show that they do reduce pain, anxiety, and fatigue, and improve immune markers and emotional resilience. Energetic rituals, when practiced regularly, have been shown to improve heart rate variability, reduce inflammation, and enhance emotional regulation, especially when aligned with breath, sound, and intention. Across cultures and disciplines, energy healing invites us to listen to the pulse of the earth, the vibration of our cells, the breath of our emotions. It's not about escaping the body, it's about inhabiting it more fully. It's about remembering that healing is not just a destination, but a rhythm we return to. So, whether you're a practitioner, a seeker, or someone simply curious about the vibrational nature of life, energy healing offers a path forward, a path that honors science and spirit, structure and intuition, ritual and regulation. Because everything is energy. And when we learn to work with it, not against it, we open the door to profound healing, connection, and transformation. Thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.